think Red Bull will be quite disappointed they let this guy go. The Chile Master has been incredible in 2019. He has been so good, and I don't think many of us expected it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm a big fan of Carlos Sainz, especially during his time at Toro Rosso. He was on fire, and he seemed destined to be promoted to that Red Bull team. They moved him over to Renault because he was too good for Toro Rosso, but he wasn't quite ready enough, or there wasn't a space at the big dogs Red Bull top team, so they needed to find a way out. So they sent him on loan to Renault. It wasn't fantastic at Renault, up against Nico Hülkenberg. It wasn't awful. He scored the most points finishes out of any driver outside those top 3 teams, which is a very credible statistic considering the reliability of that Renault. But Red Bull still felt that despite Sainz, his experience in Formula 1, his proven speed, his proven talent, they went with Gasly. And I bet they are kicking themselves now. Although Alex Albon seems to be settling into the Red Bull life a little bit better than Gasly did, I still think they will be a little bit salty they let the Spaniard go, who has been on fire in his papaya orange McLaren. Best of the rest, not only best of the rest, 1 place behind Sebastian Vettel, finishing in the top 6 in the driver's standings. Yes, he's kind of helped out by the fact that Gasly and Albon shared a Red Bull drive and a Toro Rosso drive in 2019. But I still think finishing P6 in a McLaren car that pretty much, ever since the start of the hybrid era, hasn't been great. What a turnaround for the team. What a new lease of life both Carlos and Lando Norris have brought to the team, where it seems over the past couple of seasons the team's slowly been drifting backwards. The deal with a Renault engine wasn't fantastic. This year, what a turnaround, not only on track but off track as well. A real funness about McLaren. I know that's not a word, but that's how I feel about them. They just seem ready to be able to make those few next steps forward. They seem like the pressure's kind of out the window. And a new team, they almost feel like in 2019. I don't know if you guys feel the same, but definitely I feel that major strides have been made going forward for the future of the team. Anyway, before we talk about more of their amazing season and Carlos's incredible season, let's look at some statistics. And actually, the quali battle just went in favour of the British rookie, Lando Norris, instead of Carlos Sainz, but it was super duper close. The race battle, a little bit more in Sainz's favour, 13-8 at the end of the season. The points gap, however, quite sizable, 96 to 49. Carlos finishing 6th overall, Lando finishing P11. Carlos, no wins, no poles, no surprise really, considering he's a McLaren. But what is a surprise is that awesome podium in Brazil. And of course, he wasn't allowed to stand up there. The stewards were faffing around a little bit too long, so he didn't get to stand up there. However, it still meant so much and was incredible just to see a McLaren driver just classified 3rd, and to be given that trophy afterward was awesome. 96 points, 6 in the championship, his best race a P3, and his best qualifying was a P6, where the McLaren team locked out the 3rd row of the grid. What an incredible turnaround in 12 months. And when I just quickly cast my mind back to the final race in 2018, McLaren were fighting with Williams in that Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, right at the back of the field. What a turnaround. This year, in that final race of the season, whereas Fernando Alonso was saying, oh, I don't need one more point, this year, that 1 point that Sainz got on the final lap of the season got him a P6. And actually, if you look at the season as a whole, it was brilliant, but the season didn't start off brilliant for Sainz whatsoever. He went the first 3 Grand Prix without scoring a point. Australia out in Q1 with issues. The race didn't get to the finish. His engine gave up on him on that particular occasion. The next Grand Prix was a bit of a turnaround, actually, initially fighting with Max Verstappen up in the top 4, and you're thinking, oh my god, McLaren, where has this come from? Contact with Verstappen, no points, out of the race. China, first lap of the race, contact with Danny Kvyat and his teammate, no points scored, but then a P7 in Azerbaijan, a P8 in Spain, a P6 in Monaco. you're thinking, oh my god, McLaren really have something. And actually, if you look over the entirety of the season, he went on a brilliant point-scoring run from the French Grand Prix, which was, I think we can all agree, a bit of a snooze fest. A P6 there, a P8 in Austria, a 6th in Silverstone, and of course, after that, back-to-back 5th place finishes, 5th in that incredibly hectic German Grand Prix, but also the Hungarian Grand Prix. Partner that with an incredible podium at the end of the season, sprinkle in a few more points finishes over the season. 6th place, 96 points, almost 100 points from a McLaren driver is obscene. Races of note, of course, you have to point out Brazil. P20 on the grid to a podium in a McLaren, but also made some disgustingly good moves. That overtake on Sergio Perez early on in the Grand Prix, a dirty dive bomb into turn 1, a fantastic move right on the edge. But I also look at races that maybe go under the radar a little bit. Austria, P20 to P8. That wasn't a chaotic race, and yet he made plenty of overtakes, a brilliant strategy work. We've seen McLarens fighting at the front in 2019. Russia, the 2 McLarens against the 2 Mercedes in the early stages. We also saw a similar kind of thing in Japan and in Mexico. It's not been a perfect season for Carlos Sainz. That early stages of the season wasn't brilliant. He had contact in the opening stages of the Singapore Grand Prix, but for the most part he has been super good, super consistent, and McLaren finally seem to be slowly getting back to their old ways. A 9 out of 10 for me for Carlos Sainz. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.